Fallout 4 is experiencing an info dump as of late, where rumours fly as free as the vertebrates, and controversy has sprung up over Bethesda's new game features and approaches to gameplay. So I thought I would take a step back and I would look over the incredible achievement that was Fallout 3 and maybe run down some of my best and favourite personal hidden gems within the Wasteland. Easter eggs and references are rife within Fallout, as they have been since the very first entry into the series, but Fallout 3, to a huge nerdy post-apocalyptic fan such as myself, definitely had the best references and nods to other stories and literature that inspired its setting. These are my personal favourite Easter eggs that I found over the course of exploring the game, so I've tried to avoid the more obvious ones that you see run down in every Easter egg list. So to be honest, I don't know how well known or obvious or interesting they really are, but I do hope you find them as cool as I do, which no doubt you won't, because like I said, I'm just a big old nerd who reads too much into dumb references. But anyway, without any further ado, my favourite and best Fallout 3 references and Easter eggs. Number 1, Strange Meats. This is a very slight and light reference, but one that I appreciated nonetheless because it involves one of my all-time favourite books, The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Andale is a town to the southeast of the map, a pretty small and easily missed settlement featuring not much in particular except a very strange family harbouring some dark cannibalistic secrets in a suspicious basement in the Smith family home. This basement of bloody body parts is a reference to one of the most terrifying and horrible moments in McCarthy's The Road, and one that I shall not spoil. There is a wonderful article by The Atlantic titled Cormac McCarthy's The Road may have the scariest passage in all of literature that I would highly recommend you read, but only after you have read the book. I am serious. If you love Fallout, read The Road. You'll love it. I read it in high school and it was one of the most affecting books I've ever read, and the film just does not do it justice. Sorry, Aragon, or Aragorn, whatever his name is. Todd Howard said in an interview that Fallout's setting and styles were influenced by the work of McCarthy, and nowhere is it more clear to see than in the good old Republican town of Andale. Number 2, Vault 92. Ah man, Agatha's Song. One of the most touching and rewarding quests in any Fallout game. Not just a fantastic idea, retrieving the last remaining instrument in the Wasteland, but being rewarded with a brand new radio station playing beautiful music for the rest of the game. Move over, Three Dog, and John Henry Eden, and the weird signals that play like growl noises and scratches. Anyway, Agatha tasks you with retrieving her ancestor's Stradivarius violin and sends you to Vault 92, where the world's best musicians were invited to seek refuge with the promise to preserve musical talent in the event of nuclear Armageddon. As we all know from the Vault's less than stellar track record, however, this turned out not to be the case, and everyone of course ended up dead or crazy or a combination of the two. However, the Easter egg comes in the form of a couple of records hidden away on the computers that the more music savvy amongst you may have noticed. The names of 2 inhabitants in particular pop out. The Overseer, Richard Rubin, clearly a reference to the music producer Rick Rubin, and Gordy Summers, which also happens to be the name of this bloody guy. Sting! No, not the wrestler. Sting, like... Sting! Oh, go ask your parents. So what does this mean? Well, it means that I can officially listen to all of my Sting and the Police mixtapes while playing Fallout, and it's officially in-universe canon. Take that, Agatha. Number 3, H.P. Lovecraft. H.P. Lovecraft was a master of horror, and his work has influenced and inspired cultural juggernauts from Stephen King to The Evil Dead to The Elder Scrolls, and Fallout is no exception. The Dunwich building, as infamous to the people of the Wasteland as it is to the players of the game, is a creepy, often overlooked but frightfully weird place in the ass end of the Capital Wasteland. In this building, you're subjugated to strange visions, diary entries and artifacts, and this bizarre obelisk that whispers strange words and attracts the attention of some ghouls and glowing ones. That's right, I said ghouls. Both this and the entire Dunwich building itself is a reference to Lovecraft's famous Cthulhu mythos and his most famous short story, The Dunwich Horror. Even better, the ass end of Point Lookout expands on this Lovecraftian horror side quest with more references, this time to creepy books of the dead with names I can't pronounce, and a strange possible cultist called Black Hall, further references to the Dunwich Horror and Lovecraft's novel The Lurker in the Threshold. If you haven't explored these areas yet, fire up your copy of Fallout 3 and get on it. I avoided this place like the new plague for years, but it's a brilliant story and a fantastic reference to the great writing of H.P. Lovecraft, which you should all also read. A bit dated, but there is no better horror writer. Number 4, Abraham Lincoln. Okay, so not exactly one reference here, but an entire multitude of them. Fallout 3 is obsessed with Abraham Lincoln, with references and nods to his speeches, and even a shrine dedicated to him in the famous house of Robert E. Lee, the famous Civil War general in the Arlington district of the Capital Wasteland. In the game, you can also find my personal favourite weapon, Lincoln's Repeater, a reference to Lincoln's famous Henry rifle that was presented to him by the Volcanic Repeating Arms Company, as well as his hat, his coin collection, his voice, and even his head. However, we'll get back to that in a second, because let's jump back to Arlington House, the home of the shrine to Lincoln. Now, as I mentioned previously, Arlington House is the historical home of Robert E. Lee, the famous American Civil War general. Here's the interesting bit, however. Fallout 3 has a dual perk system called either Lawbringer or Contract Killer, which opens up the options to either kill good or bad characters in the game for profit. If you have the Lawbringer perk, you are recruited by the Regulators, a group of lawmen and women who track down criminals and raiders and bring them to justice. Approaching Arlington House, you can find a dead Regulator and claim his bounty contract, which is a raider who is hiding out in Arlington House. Now, what does all this mean? Well, one of the darkest episodes of the Civil War was the horrendous treatment of prisoners and the conditions they were kept in the prisoner of war camps. None more so than Andersonville Prison. To quote About.com, overcrowded and poorly supplied with food and water, epidemics swept through the prison, raising its monthly mortality rate to around 3,000. Life within Andersonville was made worse by a group of prisoners known as the Raiders, who stole food and valuables from other prisoners. These were eventually rounded up by a second group known as the Regulators. Could this be an underhand reference? Possibly, and if it is, bravo for the in-depth research, Bethesda. But you thought that was it? You thought all this Regulator, Civil War, Lincoln nonsense is the only reference? No, not a chance. Remember Lincoln's head. Head of State was one of the best quests in Fallout 3, in which a group of ex-slaves tried to build a new settlement under the monument of the president famed for freeing the slaves way back in the 1800s. But first, you must find his head. A great, unique quest made better for the fact that it's a rare example of a quest and story that crosses over and is referenced in the sequel standalone Fallout New Vegas. In the free side quest Debt Collector, you are tasked with getting money from a certain caravan trader named Lady Jane. Most people will simply pass the speech checks and get the money off her, but you can in fact track down her lost caravan to the Brock Flower Cave near Camp Searchlight. Find the caravan and you find something pretty special. Lincoln's bloody head! Right there! It seems the ex-slave colony didn't last as long as they hoped, if this is all canon. Abraham Lincoln, the Easter egg president of Fallout. Number 1. There will come soft rains. Oh man, I have wanted to talk about this for so long. I pretty much made this entire video just to talk about this little Easter egg. There will come soft rains is 3 of my favourite things. It's my favourite poem, it's my favourite short story, and it's my favourite reference in Fallout 3. Upon finding the McLennan family home at 2026 Bradley Place, Georgetown in the west of Washington DC, you stumble across a deactivated Mr. Handy robot and a long dead dog in the garden. This is a reference to the fantastic short story There Will Come Soft Rains by Ray Bradbury that tells a tale of a robotic automated house still doing its daily duty following what appears to be the nuclear apocalypse. The number of the house, 2026, is also a reference to the date the story is set, and the poor dog Muffy is also a reference, as in the story the family dog makes a sad reappearance in the destroyed home over the course of the tale. Finally, the name of the family, McLennan, is a reference to the character from another famous Ray Bradbury book, Fahrenheit 451. The best part of this tale, however, comes from the activating of Mr. Handy, who can be instructed to carry out a few tasks, most notably reciting a poem to the long-dead family's son. What he then recites is a 1920 poem by Sara TEAsdale, also called There Will Come Soft Rains. The poem tells the story of a world wrecked by war and slowly forgetting the now extinct human race. Not only is the poem fantastic, TEAsdale's work is some of the earliest apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic literature out there. Finding this house originally, I accidentally sent the robot outside to its death and I never actually heard the poem, but when I returned on a second playthrough and suddenly started hearing this poem being recited that I'd known and memorized for years, man, I almost teared up. It was incredible, and it made me reaffirm what an incredible body of work Fallout 3 really is. If you guys like science fiction, I of course recommend Ray Bradbury, but check out Sara TEAsdale, a brilliant poet who lived a very sad and tragic life, and she deserves to be remembered by the most adoring and passionate fans out there. Fallout fans. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my personal favourite references and Easter eggs in the great Fallout 3, but I wanted to know yours. Tell me, what did you enjoy, but more importantly, what moments or references did you catch that really took your breath away like the McLennan's family home did for me? Finally, if you enjoyed my video, this is the time that YouTube keeps telling me I meant to tell you to like and subscribe and all that nonsense, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, why don't you check out some other great channels and content? My friend Fuzzbox Vlogs has a fantastic YouTube channel, and he has a Let's Play of the original Fallout game. I would say that is one of my favourite Let's Plays of all time, and I'm not going to be doing a Let's Play of Fallout. People have asked. His does it better than I ever would, so go check out that. If you enjoy Minecraft and other games, go check out my buddy Ripper Steve. Finally, if you like Fallout 4 and you're not sick of its coverage yet, check out this hilarious animation. Enough said. Done. Plugs over. Anyway, I better go and read some poetry like a big old cool nerd. Bye-bye.
I met a traveller from an antique land who said...
My name is Jeff.